On November 12, 2025, a powerful storm system started spinning up way out in the Atlantic. The Spanish weather agency, EMET, officially named it Hurricane Claudia, part of their naming list for rare southwest Atlantic storms. This thing didn't waste any time. It charged westward at an alarming speed, hauling a massive load of cold, soggy air straight toward the continent. By the time it got close, it ran smack into a stubborn low-pressure system hanging over Portugal and Spain. That collision? Absolute chaos. Starting in the early morning hours of November 13th, Claudia unleashed hell on Portugal. We're talking torrential rain, howling winds, and monster waves crashing onto the coast. In under 24 hours, emergency crews logged over 1,000 incidents nationwide. Flash floods swallowed streets. Huge trees came crashing down like dominoes. Landslides buried roads. And power? Gone for tens of thousands, especially around Lisbon, the Setúbal region, and the Madeira Islands. Some spots got 2 to 6 inches of rain in a single day. That's 50 to 150 millimeters if you're metric. Coastal gusts topped 80 miles per hour, over 130 kilometers per hour. Boats were tossed. Roofs peeled off. It was bad. But the hardest moment, the one that stopped everyone cold, happened in a small town called Seixal, down in the Setúbal area. An elderly couple was found dead inside their flooded home. Rescue teams and local news said the water rose so fast, they never had a chance to get out. They were trapped. That tragedy hit hard. It wasn't just a statistic. It showed how fast a storm like this can turn deadly, especially in low-lying neighborhoods that flood in minutes. Claudia wasn't just wind and rain. It was a wake-up call. Europe doesn't get hurricanes like the US does. But when one shows up, it doesn't care that it's not supposed to be here. It just destroys. So yeah, Hurricane Claudia, November 2025. A rare, deadly reminder that Mother Nature doesn't follow borders or expectations. That's what happened when Claudia rolled in. Floodwater poured into the subway system so fast that several stations had to shut down immediately. We're not talking puddles. The water was deep enough to short-circuit the electrical lines. One spark and you've got a real disaster on your hands. Above ground, total gridlock. Major arteries like the Avenida de Liberdade and the road along the Tagus River turned into parking lots. Cars abandoned, horns blaring, people wading through knee-deep water just to get home. The city basically hit the pause button. The mayor's office didn't waste time. They sent out emergency alerts. Stay inside unless it's life or death. Rescue crews in bright orange suits fanned out across the lowest neighborhoods, places like Alcantara and Belém. Their priority? Getting the elderly, kids, and anyone with mobility issues out first. Imagine a grandma in a second-floor apartment, water rising fast, and suddenly a boat shows up at her window. That was the reality for hundreds of families. Now let's island hop to Madeira, those stunning, rugged islands about 600 miles off the coast of Africa. Claudia didn't bring the eye of the storm here, but she dumped inches of rain in just a few hours. On hillsides that are basically vertical, that's a recipe for landslides. Entire chunks of mountain just let go. Roads vanished under rivers of mud and rock. Houses perched on cliff edges. Some are now hanging by a thread, literally. Local fire crews and civil protection teams worked through the night, evacuating families to schools and gyms turned into temporary shelters. Cots, blankets, hot soup, the whole deal. And if you were trying to fly in or out, forget it. Madeira's international airport grounded flights left and right. Winds gusting over 70 miles an hour, visibility near zero, pilots weren't taking chances. But the problems don't stop. Here's the part a lot of people miss: indoor air quality. When floodwater soaks into walls, carpets, and furniture, mold starts growing within 24 to 48 hours. And mold isn't just gross, it's a legit health hazard. Portugal's air quality watchdog put out a bulletin that basically said, if your house got wet, rip out the drywall, run industrial fans, and get it bone dry yesterday. Easier said than done when half the city is in the same boat, pun intended. And here's the thing, Portugal isn't alone. Think about New Orleans after Katrina, Houston after Harvey, or even parts of Florida after Ian. Extreme weather is stress testing every coastal city on the planet. The question isn't if the next big one hits. It's when, and are we ready? So what can you do whether you're in Lisbon, Miami, or anywhere in between? Number 1, know your flood zone. FEMA's flood maps are online and free. Type in your address, see your risk. Number 2, have a go bag. Important papers, meds, charger, a couple days of clothes. Number 3, if officials say evacuate, go. Stuff can be replaced, you can't. Portugal's still cleaning up, but the resilience there is incredible. Neighbors helping neighbors, strangers opening their homes. That's the silver lining in every disaster. We see what we're made of. First off, yeah, Portugal does have early warning systems. They've got protocols, alerts, the whole deal. But Claudia? She didn't care. This storm moved with a speed and intensity that caught even the pros off guard. We're talking 50 to 150 millimeters of rain. That's 2 to 6 inches, dumping in just a few hours in some spots. For context, that's like filling a coffee mug and pouring it over every square foot of your backyard, all at once. And the wind? Gusts hitting 130 kilometers per hour. Convert that to freedom units and you're looking at 80 plus miles per hour. Trees snapping like twigs, power lines down for days, flights grounded, trains stopped cold. Coastal areas got hit with tidal surges too. Think waves crashing way farther inland than anyone expected. Now, Lisbon, Setúbal, and the island of Madeira got the worst of it. Low-lying neighborhoods turned into rivers. Cars floating like toys. People wading through waist-deep water just to get out of their homes. And here's the thing. The ground was already soaked from weeks of rain before Claudia even showed up. So when that deluge hit, there was literally nowhere for the water to go. It just spread. Roads became streams. Drainage systems? Completely overwhelmed. Flash floods popped up in places that hadn't seen flooding in decades. And let's talk about the bigger picture, because this wasn't just bad luck. A lot of the damage came down to where and how we build. Too many homes, businesses, even critical infrastructure sitting in flood-prone zones. Drainage systems that haven't been upgraded in years. And real talk, not enough people knew what to do when the alerts went off. Evacuation routes? Confusing. Shelters? Not clearly marked. Public education on storm prep? Spotty at best. And most importantly, teach people what to do before the next storm hits. Because here's the hard truth, this isn't a one-off. Climate patterns are shifting. Warmer oceans mean more energy for storms. What used to be a once-in-a-century event is starting to feel more like every few years. Okay, let's geek out on the science for a sec, because how the heck does a hurricane even form near Europe? It all started with a low-pressure system spinning up in the eastern Atlantic. Nothing unusual there, but then it ran into a big bubble of super-moist air drifting in from the southwest. By the time it neared Portugal on November 12th and 13th, Claudia had organized into a full-on hybrid storm, part tropical, part extratropical, all trouble. The pressure dropped hard at the center, which meant insane pressure gradients. That's meteorologists speak for wind goes BRRR. Trees didn't stand a chance. Neither did roofs, power poles, or anything not bolted down. And those flash floods? Physics in action. Saturated soil plus torrential rain equals runoff city. Water doesn't soak in, it sheets across the surface, picks up speed, and bam, you've got a wall of water rushing through streets. Look, storms like Claudia are wake-up calls. They show us where the system's strong and where it's paper thin. Portugal's got work to do. So do a lot of coastal regions around the world. The good news? We can adapt. Better warnings. Smarter building. Real community prep. It's not cheap. It's not easy. But the alternative, waiting for the next Claudia, is way worse. Normally, fall in Europe brings some rainy, windy days thanks to those classic low-pressure systems rolling in from the Atlantic. They usually track east and give places like Portugal, Spain, France, and the UK a good soaking. But Claudia? She cranked it up to 11. Warmer ocean waters and a moister atmosphere, both fingerprints of global warming, are making these storms bigger, badder, and more likely to go extreme. We're talking higher winds, heavier rains, and damage spreading to spots that used to dodge the worst of it. What really lit the fuse for Claudia was a perfect storm of pressure systems out in the eastern Atlantic. A deep low spun up near the Azores, then scooted northeast and slammed into a stubborn high-pressure ridge pushing up from North Africa. Boom, convergence zone. That clash ramped up the winds, piled up the clouds, and turned a regular system into a beast. By the time it smashed into Portugal, Claudia was packing gusts over 80 miles per hour, dumping up to 6 inches of rain in just one day. and whipping up coastal surges that turned streets into rivers. Flash floods hit hard, landslides buried roads, and infrastructure took a beating, especially around Lisbon, Setúbal, and Madeira. Homes flooded, power lines snapped, and cleanup is still ongoing. The big takeaway? This isn't a one-off. Rising temps are stretching storm seasons, intensifying rainfall, and pushing destruction into new areas. From a weather science standpoint, Claudia fits right into this rising pattern of intense storms hitting Europe, all tied to climate change. A hotter planet means the air can pack in way more moisture, dumping massive rain in super short bursts. That fuels stronger low-pressure systems, turning them into outright monsters. Experts are sounding the alarm. If we don't slash emissions and cool those ocean temps, get ready for more Claudias down the road. Warmer seas and skies are basically a perfect recipe for these huge, high-impact storms. What blew my mind is how one storm can mess with so many places at once. Claudia hammered Portugal hard, but it didn't stop there. England, Wales, the Canary Islands, France, and Ireland all got slammed with fierce winds and soaking rains across Western Europe. Meteorologists are repeating the warning. Without tackling global warming, expect these beasts more often. That extra water vapor in the air leads to quicker, heavier downpours and beefs up those storm systems into real destroyers. On the ground, communities stepped up big time. Folks were evacuating neighbors, handing out food and crash pads, and backing up rescue crews. Social media turned into a lifeline, people sharing flood spots, safe zones, and urgent needs in real time. The government jumped in with apps and hotlines to keep everyone coordinated fast. Looking ahead, Claudia's set to fizzle out and head northeast, easing off Portugal but still risking more rain in spots. Officials are telling people to stay alert for flash floods or slides and stick to official updates. Crews are already out surveying the damage, planning fixes for roads, power grids, and public spots. This storm's a wake-up call for Portugal and the rest of Europe on adapting to climate shifts. We gotta pour money into tougher buildings, better warnings, and teaching people what to do to keep future storms from wrecking lives and property. Think about the heartbreak in Sykes, blackouts in Setúbal, floods in Lisbon. Those hit home, showing we've got to tackle this as a team, with unity and a push for greener living. Now Portugal's leaders have to rethink city layouts, upgrade storm drains, widen flood barriers. Boosting emergency teams and training locals is crucial too. Scientists and green groups want a full-on strategy mixing emission cuts with smarter infrastructure. So storms like this become manageable hurdles, not total disasters, thanks to prep and coming together. What do you think? Has your area seen wilder weather lately? Drop a comment, hit like if this info helps, and subscribe for more breakdowns on storms and climate. Stay safe out there.